Okay, so what is Snapseed? For those of you who have not heard of it, it is a mobile photo editing app. And I stress mobile. It's only available for mobile devices. Now, that includes a tablet. So if you have an iPad, that's a mobile device or any other kind of tablet. So you can download it for free. And it is available for both the iOS system, what Apple's devices run on, as well as Android. So you lose nothing by downloading it. They don't throw a lot of any ads at you or anything like that. It's been around for a really long time. I kind of think of it as the granddaddy of all photo editing apps. Since we started taking photos with our phones, this was one of the first apps out of the gate to do this. It's now owned by Google. So it's got all of Google's resources behind it. It's won some awards over the years, and it is a go-to for many people when they're trying to spiff up their photos beyond what their phones themselves are capable of doing. You do have some photo editing apps built into your phone or your tablet that you can use, but this is just going to expand that toolkit for you. So here are some of the things that you can expect to do with Snapseed. You can adjust the brightness, the contrast, the sharpness of a photo. Those are basic things. You can also use your phone, the built-in software in your phone to do that. If you've ever taken one of our iPhone photography classes, you'll see how you can do that. But you can also create all kinds of different black and white photos out of color. Sometimes that's an interesting approach to take. You can add glamour to portraits, not to mention just masking scars and blemishes on faces, maybe even trying to remove certain areas of a photo with a healing brush that could remove those out of there. You can add all kinds of different styles and looks to a photo. You could make it look like it was taken back in the 1970s to just give it kind of a retro look. Maybe even, put it into some kind of sepia tone to make it look really vintage. And there's much more beyond that. So without further ado, I will open up Snapseed. All right, here we go. And just to mention, I forgot to mention, my colleague Mary is here. So if you do run into any problems with Zoom, please let us know and she'll give you a hand with that. Just anything that interferes with you enjoying the class. And she'll also be helping me keep track of any questions that come into the chat as well. But here is Snapseed. This is the logo. So this is how you know you've got it. Again, just go to your app store and download it if you don't have it. If you want to do that right now, you can just go to your app store, do a search, download it, and you can sort of follow along with it. Okay, so I'm going to tap on it to open it up. And I can tap anywhere on my screen, and here we go. I'm going to go with my current selections here. So here is a perfect example. This photo here is something I fixed. I'm going to import it again. The one thing that irritates me about this app is I have never figured out how to get rid of the photos once I've edited them in here, but they'll always stay in here. But I'm going to open from my device and see. Okay, so here we go. This would be along the lines of what you were going through, Mary, with that one photo. Here is a photo of my niece and, well, this is our nephew and his wife and their little boy, Lucas. And you can see here that it's very dark. This is at the National Aquarium in Baltimore. I'm going to tilt my phone a little bit and see if that gives you a better view here. There we go. So I'm holding my phone horizontally now, but so this is really dark. And I want to be able to see them a little better. They were standing by a window. So that results in them being very shadowed. This is just a giant shark jaw, or I don't even know if it's a sort of a prehistoric shark jaw or something like that, but people love to get their photos taken there. So I'm going to go in here, and there are right off the bat, excuse me, over here at the side, they call these the looks. But what they essentially are filters or very quick ways to change a photo. So I'm just scrolling up and down here to look for one that might give a quick fix to this. So here's one, just a little bit delay on my phone or on the Zoom screen here, but there's one called Bright, and I am right there, and I'm going to try that and see what happens. Now, that's a little bit overdone. I'm not sure I'm thrilled with that, and they're still pretty shadowed in there. One thing you can do with this is I think you are able to, no, that's not even allowing me to do that. In some cases, this will allow you to change the intensity of that filter, but I'm not going to go with this. I'm going to try morning to see what happens there. I'm just waiting for this to catch up here a little bit. All right. All right. So I'm going to go.
I used that filter trying to brighten my image. It made my face look kind of red.
Did it? Okay. Okay. Well, let's see what happens here. I'm going to click on morning, and okay, anytime now here. That's very slow today.
I can relate with that.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. So I tried this morning filter, and that really kind of did the trick. Now, I don't have to be done here. If maybe this is a little bit too golden, so to speak, I can adjust that in the toolkit. But now I can see their faces much more clearly. Obviously, Lucas was not cooperating. He was distracted by something else, so we don't have him looking at the camera, but that's a nice fix. And when you're done with that change, you just click on the check mark. And there you go. Okay. So that's just one quick fix. And I'm going to log out of this for a minute and start it back up to see if it will run any faster. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay. So that is just one of the quickest ways to make a fix on Snapseed. And then you can go in here and let's say I go into tools now. Maybe I want to just make some slight changes to the white balance. Now, white balance is sort of what best way to describe it is sort of like the color tone in a photo. So if I want to change that, I can go into here and you'll see here, I get temperature. So I could sort of lower that yellowish hue to it just by clicking on that. And that changes it to a little more of a what was actually there. It wasn't quite that golden of a scene. So this is pretty much more like what I saw. Okay. And I can go in here. I could change the tint. All I'm doing here is running my finger across the photo back and forth. If I want to change the tint, increase the tint, I just swipe right. And to lower it to a different direction, make it a little greener, I would go this way. I kind of like it right there, smack dab in the middle. So I'm going to leave it there. But that just helps you play with the white balance. And that is just right down here where you see this little, this is kind of a universal symbol for tuning. But that's the other thing I can do is just go into tune image and I get some changes here. So I'm going to go back to this photo. And Mary, I tried to download your photo and it's not showing up on my phone yet. So
Okay.
let me see. It may be that it just went into chronological order. So I don't know when you took that photo, but it's probably somewhere in the phone from that date, captured the metadata there. But this is kind of the equivalent. So let me go back and open up one of those photos again. All right, here's another one, same day. I think Lucas is actually looking at the camera this time. So some basic adjustments I can make to something like this is to go in here. I'll increase this a little bit in size so you can see it better. And the first thing I might try is just using the magic tool there to see if I can adjust the brightness that way, but that just sort of washes it out. So I'm going to go in here and here are a couple things. There are shadows. So I could try that. That's not working real well either in this case. So sometimes it's a little bit of trial and error to get this to work. So I don't think these basic adjustment tools are going to work too well for me. So there are some other things I could do here. I could try curves. And that will brighten it up. I can try different approaches to this. This is a little more involved and maybe more than you want to mess around with. So the other thing I could just go down and do here is go to my brush. And here is where you get into dodge and burn. So again, dodge means that you are lightening an area and burns means you are darkening it. So I am going to go here and click on dodge. And click on the brush. I can also just go here and maybe play around with the exposure. So I just rubbed my finger along my nephew's face there. And that lightened up his face nicely. I can do the same thing here. And that's a nice fix. I can go down as far as I want to get that. And that makes them much more visible. So that was just with the brush. Dodge and burn, that's another technique if I wanted to. I'm going to go here and I'm rubbing over him now because I have it on burn. So that is darkening him again. Not that I would want to do that with this, but I just want to show you how that works. For dodging, I'd run over it and lighten it up again. Okay. Yes, Kay.
Hi. So you find that dodge and burn? I'm looking under the tool. Which one is that?
So you'd want to go to, I know there's so many here. It's all, I feel you. It's kind of like getting behind the cockpit of a 747 to find all this stuff. But here I went to brush. And the brush, you'll see it gives you all these options here. So dodge and burn is right here and exposure is right here. But the nice thing about the brush is that you can selectively capture things. So you don't have to affect the entire photo.
Oh, I see. Because I've been using a Snapseed for a while. That's one of the features I do not use. I use a lot of, I go into the tools and I use a lot of the tune image. That's all I use. The look and image. And I just not really using other features because I'm not really sure what to do. And I'm really interested in finding out more selective, because I have seen people kind of, let's say, if the whole entire photo is just black and white, they turn it into black and white, and there's a focal point that they change it to color. And I find that very interesting. So is that part of selective?
They change it to black and white, or maybe just a section of it in black and
white? It was done. Let's say probably not a black and white photo, probably from a color photo, and then they converted to a black and white, and then they added a pop of color to certain,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's try that. To see what we can do there. I have not tried that on Snapseed. I am kind of a photo app junkie, so I have different types of photo apps that do that. But let me get to that in a second. I just want to make sure.
One other thing. Is there a class that you can think of how to organize your photos? Because I am over my head with that. I have about 60,000 photos on my phone, and I keep increase my iCloud to the max, and I have not taken off any of the photos. But I want to a way, I don't know if you have another class and talk about storage, what to do, how to organize your photos.
Yes. I do. As a matter of fact, I have one coming up later today. There is a weekly class on Apple Photos and managing your photo library in the iCloud, and some of the organization is done automatically for you in ways you're probably not aware of, so that you can do a quick search.
What is the type of that class?
I think it's weekly quick tips with Apple Photos. It's at 11:30 a.m. today.
I can't do that one.
Okay.
All right.
There's also a Google Photos class if you wanted to use Google Photos instead, and that one is on Tuesday. I'm not sure what time. I think maybe 9 o'clock. But that's another option for you, is to just back up your iPhone photos in Google Photos instead. And you get a little more free space on Google Photos than you do with, but it works the same way. It organizes your photos for you. It tags them with keywords. So if you want to do a search for a photo of a fox that you saw in your backyard in like 2015, you could just type in fox 2015, or maybe just fox, and that photo would show up.
It's something that I have to tag myself, right?
No, nope, you do not. Yeah, there's some artificial intelligence built into that. so that you don't have, it has object recognition technology. So it will just read an object and then apply that tag itself. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's open up another photo. And since Kay had brought up that possibility of selective color. All right, so let's say we take this bright yellow fish here. This is not a great photo, but we'll just play around with this a little bit. I know Anne is mentioning doing a demo with a photo that she remembers that I took of a bench by a lake, but that is on my computer, not on my phone. So probably not going to be able to do that one right now, but let's go into tools and let's see if there's a way to do that. If I go to black and white options, it just gives me one black and white. So I do that, and then let's see if there's a way to change that. No, that's not doing it. Yeah, to be honest with you, Kay, I'm going to have to look into that to see how that is done. Because I've never tried that approach on Snapseed itself. But I will look that up before I send out the class notes and see if there's something that would allow you to do that. Maybe selective. Let me go back here. All right, I'm going to go back to undo and selective. Yeah, that's not allowing me to do a whole lot here. You can tell I still, there are things on this that I still haven't learned to do, but let me look that up as soon as we close today and see if I can help you learn how to do that. There are some other apps that I think will allow you to do that selective color, but okay. Let me get out of this one and open up another one, show you some other tricks here. So here are a couple of others that I really like. I'm going to go into my albums here. All right. So let me find a nice nice landscape of some sort. Maybe this one. Okay. Okay, so this is a shot I took in Iceland several years ago. And I'm going to open that up in tools, and I am going to try a few things here. Maybe I'm just going to go for an HDR landscape. So HDR, and you can see here I can do the filter strength. HDR stands for high dynamic range. And you can take HDR to extremes, but you can also use it in a way that will actually make the photo look much more like the scene you actually saw. Because as much as you think you can do this, a camera is capable of rendering reality only so much. First and foremost, you are creating a two-dimensional image out of a three-dimensional scene. So certain colors are not necessarily going to render as well with the camera. Details might be missed and things like that. But HDR helps you achieve something much closer to what the human eye actually sees. So in this case, I tried the HDR setting, and and you'll see it brightens up down here. What before was pretty lame. If I go into HDR scape, I can try nature. You've got 3 different selections here. So I'm going to use nature, and I can adjust the filter strength any way I want. If I want to increase it, I can do that. So it just really dresses up a photo nicely. And I can also go to something like this, which is fine. Quite honestly, this is about the closest to reality that I can get just using this. And I can adjust the filter strength. And I can also up the saturation if I want, and even the brightness. So I really enrich the color. It really makes for a nice landscape shot. So if you do have some landscape photos, that might be something to work on. You know, to be honest with you, you could even try this with a photo that's a little too dark. So let's go back to that photo I had from the aquarium and see what happens if I use HDR scape. That brightens it up a little bit. That's for people. And what if I went in here then and adjusted it, the brightness, to see if that helps? That helps a little bit more than what I thought. Okay. So it says HDR scape, but you might try that with other things. Mary, that photo you were talking about, it might even work with that.
Okay, I'll try it.
Yeah.
So HDR, I'm trying to look for it there.
Yeah. If you go to your toolkit,
Yeah.
it's right down there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So there, a lot of us take pictures of people, right? Portraits, even selfies. And maybe we want to dress those up a little bit. So I'm going to open up my little photo demo here using picture of a person that I want to fix up a little bit. So I'm going to take this guy. I call him Henry, but he is my go-to demo for this type of thing. And you'll notice that Henry, this is just a stock photo that I found, but you'll notice that he's got some acne on his skin, and maybe we want to fix that a little bit. There are a couple of approaches we can take. We can go to tools and maybe start out with the healing brush or the healing tool. And if I do that, I can tap on certain areas of the photo. You'll notice there was a blemish there. Let me go back and do that again. So I'll go there and I'll just tap on that with my finger. And some of those really pronounced areas where there's a lot of acne, I can just, and I want to zoom in to be as precise as possible with this. But I just got rid of a couple of those really big spots. Okay, so that is just I could leave it as this. This looks okay, but maybe I really want to dress this up nicely and make it look like a nice portrait. I would go to portrait. And I don't know how much you noticed there, but it just right away smoothed out his skin really nicely. There are two options. There's smooth 1 and smooth 2. But from there, I can increase that even a little bit just by swiping right. And it even will allow you to go and smooth the skin even more just by hitting skin smoothing. So that looks a lot nicer than the original. If you ever take a picture of somebody when they're having a bad skin day, and then you send that to them later after doing this, you're probably going to be their best friend. And the other thing that is fun with this is a little creepy, but there is a way to change the head pose slightly. So you'll note, I don't know if you can see this, but I could lift his chin up a little like that, or I could lower it a little bit. I don't know that you're going to use that one all the time, but maybe just a slight adjustment sometimes might be better. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. It only goes so far, so it doesn't do a lot of extreme distortion of the face, but okay. And let's talk about sharing these, okay? If I want to go down here and I want to save this to my phone, I'm going to go to export. And first of all, I could just share this right away with somebody. If I hit share, it will bring up some options here. I could either send this via text message like this, if I want to do that, or send it via email. Or I could even post it directly to Facebook, to Instagram, if I have an account there, anything like that. That's just for sharing it. If I want to save it, I can save it right on Snapseed, on the Snapseed platform, or I can create a copy with changes that I can undo at any time. And I can also just go ahead and create a final copy of this photo that will save on my phone. But it is a copy, so I have not lost the original. It has not overwritten the original photo where I took this from. That will remain in my phone.
Scott, I have a question. If you
Sure,
save
Lon.
a copy, does that also include the metadata from the original?
That is an interesting question that let me see.
You don't have to do it now if that's going to be work, but you know, I'm just.
Well, I'm very interested in finding out whether that's the case. So let's see if, did that save? All right, here we go. So there's that photo. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Doesn't look like it, Lila. It looks like it does overwrite it.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm a privacy nut. If you want to share something, but you don't want to share all of the information in the photo, like where it was taken and so on and so forth, depending on your settings, this might be a way to do it where you could put it on Facebook and someone couldn't go to that photo and then get that data about you.
Right. Right. Interesting example on that. Let's say you are away from home. I'm always so glad when Lila's here because she does talk about all these things related to privacy that we're all concerned about. And one of the things that I do not do when I am away from home often, or actually, I take that back. I do it, and then my wife gets upset with me for doing it. Say that we are on a trip, that maybe visiting family in another state, and I take some pictures there, and then I post them to Facebook. What I'm doing is signaling to people that I am not home right now. So if somebody is trolling Facebook, looking for homes that might be unoccupied at the moment and they want to break in or something like that, or maybe I just don't want people to know where I am at the moment, I could still post that photo. But if I've done it through Snapseed and I've made some slight changes to it, they're not going to see where that photo was taken. They're not going to see anything other than maybe the date. And it'll probably be the date that I played around with the photo. But metadata, to kind of explain a techie term, metadata is information that is captured in a photo the minute you take it, if it's a digital photo. Just to give you an example, let's say that I go open up a photo that I took. There's another one of Lucas. So I took this the other day. If I go into for information, look at all the information here. This all got captured automatically. It's showing the date that I took this and the time. It's showing the device I used to take it. So I'm showing people what kind of iPhone I have. And it is showing the location. This is just in Baltimore. It's only 40 minutes up the road from me, but I still wouldn't necessarily want everybody to know where I am. So if I did this in Snapseed, that information would not be included in there. Because essentially when you edit something in Snapseed and save it there, you're creating a brand new image rather than override. So you could make a slight change and think that you've got a duplicate in your photo collection. It's actually not a duplicate. It's got a new file name and everything. So, all right. All right, we've got a little bit of time, so I will, you know what? I should stop to see if there are any questions. No. Okay. So let's try just a couple of other things that you can do here. I'm going to open up another image. All right, let's see. There are some fun things you can do in here with, say, a photo like this. I'm going to take this photo of a statue that I took in Paris. And I'm going to go into tools, and there is an option called drama. This is kind of fun to play around with. I can go to drama, and it just really magnifies some of the contrast. This almost makes it look like a gladiator movie of some sort. And there are different styles you can use here. And again, in every case, you can adjust the strength of that effect. So I could lower this a little bit if I want to decrease the intensity. I'm just swiping left here to lower that. And you can track it by this blue bar up here. So if I go all the way, that's what I'm going to get. And even within all of these, I can change things like the saturation, make this more colorful if I want. So that's something to play around with on certain photos. The other thing you can play around with is noir. And that can give it a whole different look, mostly in black and white. And you could also try Retro Lux. This is what I was talking about with sort of giving it a vintage look of some sort. And again, in all of these, you can make some adjustments here. Okay. So that's just your playground with Snapseed. And there are some others here that you can play around with. You can add frames to a photo. They give you different framing effects that might be kind of cool to add. You could give your photo a grunge look if you want to do that. And you can also, I have not done this a whole lot, but you could do a double exposure. So here I've hit on double exposure. So there, maybe I want to then add somebody else's face in here or another image. I'm just going to get Henry in here like that. And I have created, maybe I'll do something like this. And I have created this interesting double exposure. Now I can also make some adjustments here like that. Try different approaches to this. And I can increase or decrease the opacity of that second photo I put over it. So I could do something like this. Maybe we want to have Henry thinking about this statue. So I can go to, whoops. Do something like that. And there we go. I've got a double exposure. So there's a lot here. I know it can get a little overwhelming, but the great thing is this is free and you can experiment with it all you want. And just take your time doing different things to your photos, making simple fixes to your photos, but also doing something artistic. And I can tell you that I'm seeing Snapseed edited photos showing up a lot in some of my other classes and sessions. People like Mary and Ann, I know, has been there. And Susan have participated in our photo challenge every week. And also we have a photo group on Wednesdays, but the photo challenge, if you ever want to participate in that, is every week we have a theme and people send in a picture based on that theme. This week's theme is bridges, pictures of bridges. And people will send those in, and then we get together on Friday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern time and look at all the submissions and vote on our favorite. And then I end up featuring that winner on the GetSetUp Community Club and on our Facebook page. It's a lot of fun, great group of people, and it keeps growing. So if you're ever interested in that, you even want to just check it out today and see some of the photos that people have submitted, please feel free to do that. Getting to my point though, I'm seeing a lot of people submitting photos that they've edited with Snapseed and getting some really incredible images that way.